Hey, BassGeek here, and today I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite search baits for this time of year. So somebody requested this. One of you BassGeek Nation faithful requested me to do a video on my favorite way, and there are 100 billion of them. So I'm probably not going to show you every single way, but I will tell you a lot of the ways that I fish a wobble or a shaky head, okay? I remember on Cherokee Lake, it was an event called Professional Anglers Association. It was probably the MLF before the MLF ever came along. Now, they didn't do the whole format thing. It was still the thing, still the regular 5-fish limit. But it was a tournament series that the professionals basically used to offset the FLW then and the BASS, the Bassmaster events. And I think it was actually ran by anglers. I think they only had 1 or 2 seasons. It didn't take off real well. One of the events, they actually fished during the summer on Cherokee Lake, which is a lake that is near and dear to my heart because it's just right down the road from me. Mr. Tommy Biffle won that. Now, Mr. Tommy Biffle kind of was the guy that brought to light the Wobble Head with Gene LaRue, I believe, or I don't remember the name of it. I'll put it right here. But anyway, so the Wobble Head, or the whatever you want to call it, swing head, there's a bunch of different titles and ways to call it. Now, I've kind of got my own spin on it. A lot of it I actually take from Tommy Biffle and how he recommends the fishing. And one of the things about this is you've got to remember, basically, he will tell you this is a reaction bait. So you want to fish it as fast as you can possibly fish it and get reaction strikes, which means you're going to have to fish it with a heavier weight a lot of times. And you know me, I'm going to throw a heavy weight on it. That's just, I mean, the front of the boat's on the bank, the back of the boat's in probably 30 foot of water where I'm sitting at right now. It's just the lakes I fish. But let's talk about the Wobble Head itself. Guys, there's several out there. The one that I use the most is a Mustad. And what I love about these is that these, you can actually take the hook off. They're interchangeable. So to me, that raises the diversity of the bait up 1,000-fold. Now I can fit the exact hook, whether I want a light wire EWG, whether I want, heavy wire, something that I need to just crank on them and get them in the boat. You can do whatever you want with this head. And that's what I love about these. A lot of the other companies, you're going to buy them, they're going to have the hooks on there, and you're kind of damned to their hook size and trying to make it work with what bait you want to put out there. To me, that's an extreme limitation on a bait that has so many possibilities. I mean, you can run the teeniest, tiniest of baits. You can go completely finesse, but the possibilities are endless. And just to give you an example of it, guys, I fish everything from swimbaits, and not just dragging it across the bottom. Use this as a swimbait head. You will be surprised at the action that it's going to give your bait. I fish everything from swimbaits that for suspended bass, swimbaits that I'm dragging on the bottom, especially during the spawn, especially baits that will float up. So a bait that will maybe float the hook up just a little bit or the tail up is a big deal during the spawn. So you can do anything. I'm going to give you some of my tips. If you want to get started out with this bait. Okay, I'm going to give you kind of my go-to sort of stuff for getting started. I will tell you, generally, I am fishing from shallow to deep, okay, when I'm throwing this. Sometimes I'm fishing during the summer. This is also a great ledge or summertime bait. I'll go with something a little bigger. This is one of Bass Munitions grunts. You're not going to be able to get those right now, but so one of my favorite baits is of course going to be the Structure Bug by Strike King. But again, my go-to weight is a 3/4 ounce, okay, a 3/4 ounce. And why I like that is because I fish steep banks. Now, if you're fishing flats or flatter areas, you're going to want to adjust that weight probably down. And so if you're fishing in 10 feet, you want to fish this bait fast. Remember, you want it beating and banging. You want this hook, and you'll notice a lot of times I'm going to use an EWG hook. And the reason why, it keeps that bait up. And so even when that head is wobbling, that EWG really is keeping this bait kind of keeled out and tilting it and giving it even more action. Now you can go with straight shank hooks if you want to, kill the action a little bit, a little more subtle, a little more finesse. You can go that way. You can get rid of the lot of flaps. But remember, this bait primarily is a reaction bait. So you want to be able to fish it as fast as you possibly can with keeping it in contact with the bottom. Like I said, there's always exceptions to that. Fishing this thing with swim baits. For me, generally, I'm going to put some sort of 3/0 EWG. I like the grip pin hooks by Mustad. They're going to be great. I like the tungsten heads by Mustad. There's a bunch of companies out there that make them, but the head, the reason I like the tungsten head, A, it's harder. It's going to convey what's on the bottom up the line to the rod, to my hand, to me, much better than lead will. And they're also, even for a 3/4, that's a pretty small weight, but it's a great search bait. It's something that really has kind of began to take, during the summertime and during a lot of times, it's began to replace a Carolina rig for me, because you can fish it just like a Carolina rig. I can throw anything you want to throw on a Carolina rig. You can throw a Cinco on it. You wouldn't believe the tail action you're going to get out of that. Guys, it's just an endless possibility. I can talk to you about it for hours and hours about the things you can do with this head. And especially when you have one that has removable hooks, man, you can do so much with it. A standard though, to get started, I would say anywhere from a 1/4 to a 3/4 bait or head to get you started. If you just want to start throwing it around in kind of the same sort of areas that you fish your favorite creature style bait, it's a great replacement too for the jig. You can throw it out there, you can reel it. You're not hopping it as much, but it comes through cover because you Texas rig it. I mean, you can reel this through anything. So for me, kind of my go-to, this is my go-to setup right here. And any sort of creature bait, whatever your creature bait is, whatever hook that you like for your creature bait, that's the hook I would use. But basically, my setup, this is an Akuma tournament concept. This is actually a flipping and jig rod. This is I believe it's a 7'6". Yeah, 7'6". It is a heavy, fast action. This is very much one of my favorite setups that I put together this season, and may very well be my favorite setup that I have paired up in 2021. So you may hear more about this. This is a Helios. This is an Akuma Helios SX. And yeah, it's a little more expensive reel, but I'm telling you, man, this thing casts a mile. You can adjust it super easy, and it's super durable. So far, this has been a great go-to search bait and search combo for me. 7.6, I like 7.6. Normally I'd tell you can get away with a 7 foot, a 7.3. I like the 7.6 because I do a lot of offshore fishing. And once they kind of come off of that swim bait bite, or they slow down as we get into that, you know, June, July, that July and August bite, this really starts to play then. So I like a 7.6 so I can make a huge bomb cast out past the school. But this thing is great. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 places that we can fish it, but I will tell you this. Now, if you're fishing around a lot of submerged brush, which believe it or not, it's great for, yes, up your line, okay? Because you're going to be bringing it through some really rough stuff. Generally, I go with 15 to 17 pound fluorocarbon. If the water's dirty, there'd be no reason why you couldn't fish it on braid. But in clearer water, you may want to go ahead and run with that fluorocarbon. Like I said, 15 to 17 pound. You're going to change the fall rate and how much it wants to stay down with the heavier line. So 17 pound, you're not going to be able to reel it as fast and keep it on the bottom as you can with 15. That's sort of my go-to deal right there. This reel is a 6.6. I don't like a 7 or an 8. For me, it's easier to speed up than it is to slow down. I know a lot of guys that's backwards, but for me, I want this in that 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6. That middle range reel, that's the speed that I'm going to use. All right, so let me go show you and just show you a couple of examples of where and how you can fish this. It's crazy simple, guys. So guys, where can you throw a wobble head, especially a Texas rigged one, where you're not going to get hung? You can throw it over here in flats around brush. You can throw it over here on a steeper, bluffy type wall. You can throw it over there on the rip ramp. You can throw it out there on the point. Speaking of points, my whole point is there's no wrong place to fish this thing. That is the key. It is a do-all bait that you can tie on and fish anywhere. And I'm going to literally show you the simplest, easiest retrieve. Literally, make a cast, let it sink to the bottom, reel your line up. I always like to make sure I've got my line right across my finger so I'm feeling that bottom, and just start to reel. And I mean, I can feel rocks, wood, and that's the key. You want to reel fast enough to where, you know, you're beating that bottom, but when you stop feeling the bottom, you want to slow down. So you'll get your speed right. Man, and look at that. I mean, I threw that right in the crap over there. And I'm going to go ahead and start reeling out. Look, I'm hung. Boom, right across the tree. I ain't scared. I ain't scared. You scared? I ain't scared. Look at this. I mean, boom, bam. I mean, you should feel the crap on the bottom. That is literally it. Now, you can stop and go it. You can hop it if you want. Like I said, the thing about this bait, it is truly one of my favorite search baits. It really is. If I really feel like they're on the bottom, this bait is a bait that I just feel like I can get a ton of bites on. You can fish it slow. You can sweep your rod, especially if you're out deep. You can sweep it and stop. One of the things, like if I'm in this over here, a lot of times I'll snug it right up. I don't know if you can see the line right there, and just pop it across and then stop. Just like you do, you know, a crankbait. Snug it up to something, or if you feel it hit something, stop for just a minute. Oh, I was getting hit right there. Look, literally, literally, that goes to show you, man. That goes to show you. This thing is it really is a do-all, which is killing me right now. He hit me right at the boat. He was actually out here a little bit. There's a little bit of a rock and sand flat. But now, on that note, I'm going back to fishing. You guys go pick some of these up. By the way, for the Mustad, there is a 10% discount down. It may even be a 20. I'm not sure. Anyway, look down at the bottom. I got you a discount for the Mustad stuff. But thanks. And any other baits you guys want videos on, man, always ask. I'll do it for you. As always, questions, comments in the comment section below. Guys, if you've got any questions about this, just let me know. There's a ton of different companies out there. You don't have to just go with Mustad. Ton of companies. Strike King makes them. I don't know. There's like 3 or 4 out there that makes this style head. But as always, like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. And you guys rock.